Takes from the Deep End.
I just love the music in those. I could just keep playing it over and over again and listen. So Josh has given us quite a few takes from the deep end to think about here. So I have picked out some that I would like to get some reactions. Since there's only two of you and then one of me, I think we can all probably just give a little bit of a reaction to each one here. First one I'm going to show is one that we wanted to get to last week. We didn't get to last week, so we're definitely doing it today. Let's go. Hypothetically, we let Mike McDaniel go in the middle of next season, and Pittsburgh says that Tomlin is available for a future one. Do you make that deal, Taylor? A first-round pick for Mike Tomlin.
Yes, every day of the week, twice on Sunday. This is one of the best coaches of all time. I understand Pittsburgh fans are tired of it. I get it. Sometimes there's that Andy Reid thing of like, you just run your course in a place.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with Andy Reid in Philly. Honestly, I think Pete Carroll was like that in Seattle.
Yeah.
As well. And so I know Pittsburgh fan feels like that's where Tomlin is right now. And I'm at the point where I agree. But he still is one of the greatest coaches of all time, in my opinion. And I would love to have him on this team.
Keith, what do you think?
My thoughts exactly with Taylor. I'm lockstep with him. Yes. A million times yes. Please, let's do it.
Yeah, I can't believe it, guys, but I got to agree. A first round pick's a lot, all right? We shouldn't say it so casually, like it's almost nothing. But
we gave one up for Bradley Chubb. All right. We traded up for Deion Jordan. First round picks mean nothing.
That's true. That's so true. I gotta say, I mean, I get it too, Taylor. I get that Pittsburgh fans are frustrated with Tomlin and yada, yada, yada. Who cares if it's a winning season if we don't win a playoff game? Come be a Dolphins fan. Just do it for a year. Please. For a year.
No, walk in my shoes for 5 minutes, honestly.
I mean, trust me, there are like 26 other teams that would take Tomlin in a second. Their fan bases especially. Yeah, so first round pick for Mike Tomlin. Sign me up, boys. Sign me up. All right, so this one's pretty fresh here. The way the Ravens and Bills play show that Miami is at least 3 years away from fixing the team and putting a consistent winner on the field. Keith, what do you think about that? Bills and Ravens had another just absolute slobber knocker here in the divisional round. Really good teams, really good quarterbacks. Do you agree with this statement that Miami has 3 more years to build something?
I agree that when you look at the Dolphins play and then you look at the Ravens and Bills play, the Dolphins are very far behind them. There's no denying that. But honestly, and I'm going to sound like a broken record here, guys, but you fix this offensive line, the Dolphins are contenders. Period. That's it. We're talking about two teams in the Ravens and Bills that run the ball exceptionally well. They protect their quarterbacks. They allow plays to develop for their quarterbacks, for their offenses, and they both have really good offensive lines. They've both invested a lot of draft capital and free agent capital in their offensive lines. The Dolphins do the same. The Dolphins can be where they are. I think the Dolphins, especially offensively, like you put an offensive line in front of Tua this season with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and I understand Tyreek Hill may not be there next year, yada, yada, but you put an offensive line on the Dolphins this year, you take the Bills offensive line, you put it on the Dolphins this year, the Dolphins are contenders as well. I guarantee it.
We're running 200 yards a game.
Yeah.
Taylor, do you agree?
Put an offensive line in front of Devon Achane. He's going to run for 200 yards a game too.
Yeah. Two things for what Keith said here. First off, when you're like, I sound like a broken record, you just look down in pure, like, you were defeated, and I can't blame you. The second thing, I agree with you about the Bills and Ravens. They invest in the offensive line. Just to, add a little bit of, what this year has been, Baltimore probably does need, they're in the middle of retooling their offensive line. They probably still need some help in the interior. But the Bills especially, like, they have been doing nothing but getting the massive dudes on that line.
Yep.
And let's go with Josh Allen. So both of them, like, your general point stands no matter what. Like, there are two teams that invest in the position. That's what I agree with 100%. And yeah, it can be done sooner than 3 years. Look at the commies. The Commanders are in the NFC title game right now.
1 year.
They had
It
number
took
two,
1
they had
year.
number 2 pick last year.
They won 4 games last year. Yeah.
Yeah, and Jaden Daniels he's the number one reason. Don't get me wrong, but that team is good.
Yeah.
They are a good football team. They are well coached, and they put this roster together very well.
I have to say, I agree with the overall sentiment of the statement as well. I do believe that we're far behind the Ravens and the Bills, and I don't think it's just the offensive line. No, I think it's attitude. If you look at these two teams, they have stars who are there to win. Their star players are dedicated to winning, not dedicated to fame or whatever you want to call it. Derrick Henry is one of the nicest guys. You watch his interviews, this dude is just so classy, right? Lamar Jackson, love him or hate him. I know a lot of people don't like him because he doesn't speak the most proper or whatever it is, but the dude never says anything mean. He never says anything bad. He's just a classy guy. If you look at the Bills, it's the same thing, right? Josh Allen is really well put together. He's a strong guy. He's just dedicated to his team. James Cook, dedicated to his team. They had a guy, Stephon Diggs, who wasn't so dedicated to the team. So what they do? They shipped him off to Houston, right? Like, I think we need an attitude adjustment on this team just as much as we need an offensive line if we're going to see any sort of success.
And that's why, not to huff on some copium here from that press conference, but why I'm very interested in this offseason for Greer and McDaniel, because you hear the way they talked. It was like a come to Jesus kind of moment for them, where it's like, okay, did y'all get it here? Because I get that you want these star players, but if they don't want to be here, if they're not here to win, then
here's my problem with that. Here's my problem with that. The players are gone, right? He's not saying this in front of the players. They're in the offseason already.
Yeah.
When it comes time to say it to their face, then I'll believe it.
You got to be able to practice what you preach.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the thing. And that's going to be the main thing for McDaniel. That's going to prove whether he's going to be the Dolphins coach for the next 5 years, or maybe not the rest of the next season.
Hey, what are the Bills for? Get out of here. I was answering the question, Josh. All right, guys. So let's go. Let's do one more. I found a positive here. Let me find it. Here we go. Don't be shocked. This is a positive one for the Dolphins.
I'm a Dolphins fan?
Yeah. Okay. Herbert and Love wildcard weekend combined stats 34 of 65, 454 yards, 1 touchdown, 7 interceptions, and they were sacked 7 times. But yeah, we made the wrong choice drafting Tua. Taylor, what do you think?
Man, I think we put too much stock in these quarterbacks, especially in terms of the play. Like, it's always about how did they do in this one playoff game, and if not, they completely suck. We need to go and retool. And a lot of time, you just gotta go, okay, fine, let's get a new quarterback. Let's go back in the quarterback carousel. Who are we getting? Like, what is your answer?
We're going to talk about that a lot next week, I have a feeling.
What is your answer here? And if you're telling me your answer, as much as I like Kyle McCord out of Syracuse, if your answer is to draft Kyle McCord in like the 4th round and he starts next year, what?
Yeah, 4th round quarterbacks always do well in the NFL. Don't you know?
Base the entire franchise on a late round quarterback. Like, I don't see it, man. I think we put too much stock in these quarterbacks. I'm not saying ignore the fact that Herbert played bad or Hurts played bad and they somehow still won. It's just that it's a team game. And there's many reasons why these teams win and lose. A lot of times it is due to quarterback play, but it's not the end all be all.
Keith, what do you think?
Well, right, wrong, and different, or whether you like it or not, Justin Herbert and Tua are always going to be linked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because the Dolphins chose Tua instead of Justin Herbert. Brian Flores wanted Justin Herbert. The Dolphins wanted Tua Tagovailoa. So right, wrong, or indifferent, those two guys are always going to be compared to one another. Jordan Love, in the same respect, he was drafted in the same draft class, so he'll always be a part of that as well. So neither of those guys played well. They both went up against top 5 defenses. So just to be fair about this, they both went up against top 5 defenses and lost. Justin Herbert looked bad. Justin Herbert choked. That was a choke job by Justin Herbert. Jordan Love, not so much. He lost 2 of his top wide receivers in the first half of that game.
And he was already missing one. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. So,
that's
let's
a
put this
GM
in the
problem
context
right there.
here. Let's put this in the context here. Tua's gonna. I don't think we made the wrong choice drafting Tua. I would still draft Tua. All these years later, in spite of all the injuries, I think Tua has the potential to be a better quarterback than both of those guys. But that being said, be fair to these guys. Justin Herbert went up against a top 5 defense, a top 5 pass rush, and Jordan Love was just kind of behind the 8 ball to begin with. He went up against the top defense in the NFL without 2 of his top wide receivers.
Yeah, and I'd even mention Jordan Love. Like that's a thing where, again, the context does matter into things because you look at his receiving core, what he has to work with. Again, not excusing it, he played bad, and he has things to work on next year. He had a big interception problem this season. He was very streaky with it. He's got to get better at that.
Which we
But
saw
at
the
the same
beginning of
time-
last year too, before he got it together in the second half of last year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But at the same time, it's
maybe
a
that's
team
who he
game.
is.
Like they had problems that it wasn't just Jordan Love the reason the Packers lost. It wasn't just Justin Herbert's fault the reason the Chargers lost. Like there was many reasons why, and I feel like in the playoffs, while we do sometimes crap on quarterbacks for their poor play, sometimes feel like we should be also crapping on the wide receiver court or the defense, and they kind of get the pass for it.
Yeah,
Listen,
but there's a reason why Tom Brady's the GOAT.
I mean,
Yeah, that's true too.
I'll agree with you guys that like it's a team game, but the quarterback gets the glory, the quarterback gets the not glory, right?
Yes.
They get the downfall as well. And Justin Herbert played poorly, but it makes me laugh that these are 2 that are compared to and Herbert compared all the time because neither one of them has won a freaking playoff game, right? You guys
True.
can put up all the fancy stats you want in the regular season, which they both have had really good regular season like statistics, but neither one of them has won. So like, okay, do we want to have this argument between our 2 loser quarterbacks or like what's the point here? It's crazy. Yeah. Listen, that's it for Takes from the Deep End this week, guys. If you have any hot takes that you want to put in the chat, you may appear on the next episode of the Fins Forecast. Thank you so much for everybody who participated this time, and we'll have more for you next week.